Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Look at this from attorney James Filan of the XRP community. He says the Blockchain Association has filed a request to file an amicus brief. So this is the seventh organization that we know of that is seeking to file an amicus brief. So they did officially file their application. The judge has to approve this. And the Blockchain Association has taken a bit of heat up to this point from the XRP community, and rightfully so, as they've remained pretty much silent since the beginning of this. We're supposed to have a united crypto front. So the fact that they are filing this amicus brief, to me, was a very pleasant surprise. Now, the news of this just dropped within the last couple hours or so. This thing is 47 pages. And I do not have time to review that tonight, but it's notable enough news, important enough news that I wanted to at least make the community aware of this in case you hadn't heard of this. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to read this whole thing. I'm going to have a full breakdown like I typically do with these amicus briefs. But in the meantime, there was a thread from Jake Chervinsky, an attorney with the Blockchain Association. He has a full thread, and I'm just going to go ahead and run through that because it should be a high-level breakdown of what's covered. I have such limited time, admittedly, I haven't even read that, but I've covered stuff from this guy in the past, so I'm confident that it's going to be from high level at a minimum exactly what we're going to want to know about this, because I think he's their top in-house legal guy. In fact, let me take a look and see if it says in his Twitter profile. Yeah, head of policy at blockchain, so he's up there with that 115,000 followers on Twitter. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So shout out to Attorney Filan and also to John Deaton's Crypto Law Organization for sharing this recent filing from just a few hours or so ago. And an attorney Deaton on this said, outstanding job by Blockchain Association, Jake Chervinsky and his entire team. Exactly what this space needs. United versus government overreach. I have a feeling that there will be at least one more amicus brief filed. Ooh, so how about that? So there will be 8 ultimately. And when I'm saying that there's 7 total, understand that the judge has to accept this one, and also Attorney Deaton does still have to file his amicus brief, but if you put all those together, that's 7 of them. So if there's another, that would be 8. And who knows, maybe we'll be lucky and get some additional surprise amicus briefs. But it really is SEC versus the world at this point. They're clearly in the wrong, and this is so powerful. Everybody coming at it, just ripping the... Because who's got the SEC's back on this? Nobody. And rightfully, who would have the SEC's back on this? Come on. And so this is the actual document. As you can see, 47 pages. Like I said, I'll have a full breakdown on this, but I have a place to be this evening. And so to do full analysis like that, there's no way. But like I said, I didn't want to leave you guys empty-handed here, given that there is some high-level stuff coming from a guy that helped craft this thing, Jake Chervinsky, an attorney with Blockchain Association. And so again, I haven't read this whole thing. I just kind of skimmed through parts of it. So we're going to learn most of this together here in real time. But it reads as follows from Jake Chervinsky. I'm proud to announce that Blockchain Association has filed an amicus brief in the SEC's case against Ripple. In short, the SEC is wrong on the law, and its pattern of regulation by enforcement is harmful to both U.S. crypto companies and the investors that it's meant to protect. From our introduction and summary of argument, quote, SEC Chair Gary Gensler recently opined, without significant explanation, that the vast majority of tokens are securities. Put simply, that view should not be, cannot be, the law, end quote. Yeah, ain't that the truth? We've all heard him say that, right? For years, the SEC has refused to provide guidance on the definition of an investment contract. Instead, the SEC pretends the law is clear, and then pronounces its views for the first time in actions like this one. That's regulation by enforcement. Yet again, the SEC has expressed its view on crypto to a federal court in a motion for summary judgment rather than to the American people in guidance or rulemaking. Look, let's pause it. I love this because I think that the judge could probably figure this out on her own. She couldn't sniff it on her own. It couldn't be more obvious now. Because there are so many, from what I've seen to this point, there's so many unique points to all of the amicus briefs that I've seen that have been filed to this point. But there's a certain amount of overlap, and that's good. Like bringing a message home. And this is one of the messages that it's just clear in all these amicus briefs. Regulation by enforcement, completely unacceptable. Anyway, Jake continues. The SEC's views are wrong as a matter of law and policy. Our brief explains why. Here are the highlights. The fatal flaw in the SEC's position is its failure to distinguish primary sales from downstream transactions in the secondary market. The SEC ignores the difference between promises that go along with a token sale, maybe a security, and the token itself, never a security. Yeah, exactly. So Boston note, of course, because oranges aren't securities if you go back to the Howey case. And that's why I've been saying I believe that no cryptocurrencies are securities. None of them. But I believe that any of them could be packaged in a way that would constitute an investment contract. Of course, we probably all agree on that, right? But the SEC is taking this approach that's completely outside of the law and outside of legal precedent. Jake continues. As a result, the SEC doesn't seem to even bother analyzing whether secondary sales of XRP qualify as securities transactions, despite alleging violations through present day. Instead, the SEC apparently takes the position, once a security, always a security, no matter what. The distinction between primary and secondary sales is critical. The SEC's allegations about the secondary market led U.S. trading platforms to delist XRP in December 2020, causing a dramatic price crash and hurting the same XRP holders whom the SEC is supposed to protect. The SEC's failure to distinguish primary and secondary sales contradicts its own guidance. In June 2018, Director Hinman acknowledged that even if a token is sold via an investment contract, it can be reevaluated on later sales. The SEC said so again in its April 2019 framework. And by the way, I do want to note this as well. There was a pre-trial hearing, and one of the SEC attorneys, I can't remember what the woman's name was, but she actually stated that Hinman's speech, it in fact was market guidance. She stated that in a pre-trial hearing in front of Judge Netburn. So it couldn't be more obvious that that flies in the face of what's now being argued, right? Or at least articulated by the SEC. In this case, fine. This attorney says, yeah, it's intended to be guidance. Okay, well then how the hell do you explain what's going on here and the charges that the SEC is making? It's just completely illogical. It doesn't make any sense. They're in conflict with their own positions, obviously. Jake continues. I know Director Hinman has come to play a controversial role in this dispute, but I believe his statement of the law on Howey was correct. That means the SEC carries the burden of proving not only that XRP was a security in the past, but is a security now. It didn't even try. The SEC instead relies on an extremely broad view of Howey, far beyond what the law supports. The SEC takes a test meant to define a specific type of relationship between transacting parties and reimagines it to capture basically every asset in the world with a market price. Yeah, so pause note, and this is kind of a point I brought up in a video literally yesterday when, maybe, actually it was Jake Chervinsky. I highlighted him yesterday. I forgot about that. He was the reason I was talking about this. Kanye West and his Yeezy line, which, Adidas dropped him, but $2 billion in sales annually. And it's just a line that makes really, really ugly shoes, basically. It's like stuff that you definitely don't want your feet to touch. It's just horrendous, ugly looking stuff. I know there may be some people out there that disagree with me. It's subjective. Let me have my opinion then. But anyway, there are people that purchase Yeezy shoes with the expectation that they're going to be worth more in the future. Well, if you look at what the SEC is saying then about crypto, those Yeezys are just ugly securities. They're very ugly, like offensive to the eye securities, physically offensive to the eye. But that's what the SEC is arguing effectively. Jake continues, seemingly to justify expanding its own authority over crypto as much as possible, the SEC stretches all four prongs of Howey beyond the limits of logic and legal precedent. First, the SEC says there can be an investment of money even if nobody actually invests any money. The SEC seems to think even assets given away for free involve an investment of money because of some intangible expectation that the recipient will contribute value back. That can't be the law, or else anything and everything will satisfy this prong, making it pointless. I was pausing. Attorney Deaton brought this up, and I believe I covered it in a video too. He said, so if he was pointing out that the SEC is effectively arguing that if one prong of the Howey test is satisfied, that means by association that all prongs of the Howey test are satisfied. It's like, what? That's what they're arguing, though. If one prong be satisfied, then all 4 prongs be satisfied. So, so you could start at, it's like, say one prong isn't satisfied. You'd be like, well, okay, it doesn't check that one off. And then you go to the next one. You're like, oh, it does check off that one, though. Oh, that means that it actually did check off the first one now because now the second one was right. What? It's the most jackass BS you could imagine. What a perspective. My God. Anyway, Jake continues. The Supreme Court's language in Howey should be taken literally. An investment contract requires an actual investment of tangible consideration. The test is meant to apply to sales involving issuers who seek the use of the money of others, not all later sales for all time. Amen, brother. That is powerful. That is exactly right. Second, the SEC says there can be a common enterprise even if there's no enterprise. See how stupid this stuff is. He's right, though. Anyway, the SEC says horizontal commonality exists because the price of all units of XRP rise or fall equally. Again, this renders the prong pointless. Satisfied by every fungible asset ever. It defies logic to say all holders of a fungible asset are a common enterprise. Bitcoin, gold, Yeezys. Oh, there we go. He brought up Yeezys. Oh, I love that. Those are the ugliest damn shoes. Man, and I highlighted some of them in my video too, man. Just go back if you want to have a good time. Check out that video. I can't remember which one it was. But one of them was a sandal. I mean, it straight up looked like a Jesus Cruiser, but it was just orange, and it looked like a piece of plastic. I can't even. I am not capable of evening right now. Freaking Yeezys, man. Somebody out there's like, no. Somebody out there's mad at me right now. Like, no, them Yeezys is fresh. Okay. Simmer out. Jake continues. Case law establishes a much more narrow definition of common enterprise, requiring a pooling of assets and prorated distribution of profits as in an actual business. Third, the SEC says there can be an expectation of profit even if secondary market purchasers don't expect profit. The record shows a number of holders who obtained XRP for reasons other than profit, but the SEC just dismisses them as if they aren't relevant. They are. Fourth, the SEC says there can be reliance on the efforts of others no matter why buyers decide to obtain an asset, and even for buyers with no legal rights related to those others. If I've learned anything from XRP holders, it's that they're a big and diverse group. And just like any group of people who own a fungible asset, it's unfair to assume they all think and act exactly alike. It's unfair even here on Twitter, let alone in a federal enforcement action, but that's exactly what the SEC does in its summary judgment briefing. Our brief also addresses the SEC's faulty arguments on fair notice. Quote, the SEC's assertions that market participants are on fair notice of how tokens are treated under the securities laws ring hollow when the market lacks clarity on even the most basic of points, end quote. Ooh, I love this. I can't wait to read this whole thing tomorrow. And then Jake says, and we address extraterritoriality. There we go. That's the word. Extraterritoriality, including the SEC's view that it has jurisdiction based solely on U.S.-based nodes. Quote, incidental contact with the United States is insufficient to render a foreign transaction predominantly domestic. The same rules should apply to nodes, end quote. I wish the SEC would take more sensible positions on crypto, but until then, there's sadly no choice but to fight this out in the courts. This case could result in important precedent affecting the whole industry. I hope our brief helps the court get the law right. Okay, golf clap, Mr. Chervinsky. I really wish that you and the Blockchain Association had been a bit more vocal sooner. It could have helped to rally the troops, so to speak, but hey, better late than never. Very happy to see this. Can't wait to review the whole 47 pages tomorrow. And I'm sure it's 47 pages, but typically that's not the entirety of the brief. There's stuff leading up to it, the table of contents, all that jazz, but still it's going to be a lot to review. And I look forward to it, though. I love breaking this stuff down. So I'll share with you in greater detail what's going on in a hot jam tomorrow and share with you all my favorite tidbits. But that's what we got for now. That's pretty good on a high level, so I'll stop here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.